You are tuned in to Pucknology After Dark. Although it's still light outside, but whatever. Welcome to the Free Agent Frenzy finale edition of Pucknology After Dark. This, I would say, is probably our final show, probably before the World Cup. Joined by my constituents from beautiful San Diego, California, the guy who still hasn't picked up his laundry yet. It's July 1st, Eric Landy.
Yay, I'm not melting into oblivion. It got cooler today.
And from the East Bay, we don't need to have any PP stalkers go your way. But my good friend, my notch bro, and apparently pending restricted free agent, he'll be re-signed, don't worry, folks. Gentry Alexander.
Still waiting for my qualifying offer, guys. Still waiting.
All right, to be a part of the show, you know the drill. Use the hashtag Pucknology After Dark. Follow us on Twitter. Tonight you have yours truly, PuckGuy14, Eric Landy, J Alexander46. You can also use the main Twitter handle, Pucknology. Of course, you can also join us in the Google chat at the address below. And make sure you subscribe, as always. We started out with 36 going into this past season, and we are now at 306, and we can't thank you enough for it. So, guys, we'll start off really quick on how, now we've had a couple weeks to digest everything that's happened. Landy, I'll start with you. What did you think of the 25th season?
Boy, for the 25th season, I kind of went into it saying this team was going to be still in its rebuild phase. Whatever we do, I thought it was going to be a playoff, but whatever we do was going to be great. And they did not, flounder in my expectations. I thought that they did better than expected. Really, I didn't think that they were going to be a Stanley Cup final team. But they represented the West well. They were 2 games within winning the Stanley Cup final. Very, very difficult matchup. And I think that we can all say that was probably the weakest match. It was going to be the Sharks' greatest opponent would have been Pittsburgh, because that speed was going to prevent a big weakness to the Sharks. It sucks, but on the grand scheme of things, this is way above expectations and way ahead of schedule in my mind. So, going forward, it's got a good base, and I'm glad to see that Couture made his big steps in the postseason, and Brent Burns is really a tour de force on the back end. Just really a good season, and you can all be a little bummed out about the result, but overall, kind of great.
Gentry, Notch Bro, good evening, bud. We went through a lot of this together, which is always fun. We went through the highs, we went through lows, jumping up and down in celebration for our Western Conference title. Kind of really quickly just talk about what the 25th season meant to you and memories you had from it.
My biggest memories were just the fact that I started it off on the road trip and I got to see my very first away game in LA with some of my friends, and then nice. the whole nostalgia feel of it was just how they brought back the heritage jerseys even though the Sharks never won a game in them. But I capped this all off on the Stanley Cup, after game 6, which brought back all tears. But I'm going to say this is I thought that the 25th season was a huge step forward for this franchise. And, Doug Wilson said, what was it, a couple seasons ago, that they're going to be taking a couple steps back so they could take a step forward. And sure enough, they did. And now people are talking about the Sharks again. And it's not in the typical playoff choking fashion. Now they're talking about the Sharks that has an axe to grind, that has, they're motivated because now they've gotten over the hurdle. Now they just need to reach the goal of it. So I think that we're in uncharted waters, and it's exciting, and I can't wait for this next coming season.
Awesome. Outstanding. And speaking of outstanding, I see his profile picture. Let me just make sure he's there. AJ Strong,
What it is.
what it is, bro. Just briefly before we go into free agency stuff, just quickly brief what memories you had of this 25th season.
Eh, I don't want to. No, it's just I don't want to rehash anything. I mean, I wrote a whole article about it on Pucknology, so I would just refer everybody over to that. But I mean, just a hell of a lot of fun and lots of giveaways. But my favorite moment probably was doing that tour with Jamie Baker. That was awesome. Just seeing all the stuff that no one really sees. In fact, I think it would be cool if Brody did a shark bite that kind of did a behind the scenes like that to show people that. But yeah, if you want to know about my 25th, just pucknology.net, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice promotion of the website there. Thank you, AJ. All right. Yeah, shut up, Ginger. Ay, ay, ay. Anyways, let's move on to free agent frenzy. We'll start off with your Western Conference champion San Jose Sharks. They picked up two players today. They picked up David Schlemko, formerly of the Devils, Flames, Coyotes.
Yeah.
4 years, $8.4 million. He is a lefty, but he'll likely be slotted on the right side, literally replacing the slug that was Roman Polak. He had career offensive numbers. He had 6 goals, 13 assists, 19 points. However, he was a minus 22 this past season with the New Jersey Devils. And along with one of the guys I'm kind of psyched for, Mikhail Bodker, once a first-round pick of the then Phoenix Coyotes, 26 years old, a left winger, 4 years, $16 million. He had a career-high 51 points with Arizona and Colorado last season. So, Gentry, I will start with you, good sir, on the two newbies coming back to San Jose, coming to San Jose. Tell me what you think of the guys that are going to be filling in, and where do you see them in the lineup?
I like, here's the thing is that when I was reading this stuff, I was like, okay, when I first saw the David Schlemko signing, I was like, you know what, that's really good, and I kind of looked at, okay, he's a lefty, but he's stable, and then I looked at his numbers in New Jersey, and I'm like, well, minus 22. But then again, he played with New Jersey that was already in trouble, so you can't really base it off of that. And I was like, all right, but it's good. He's a solid veteran defenseman who's way faster than that, ball of chain, which was Roman Polak, who, not go F yourself, Roman Polak. So I'm glad about that. But the big one that I was most surprised by was the Boddicker and how much we got him for, and I was like sitting there like, ooh, we wanted to get speed, and we addressed that with these two signings because Schlemko is really fast, he's a decent puck mover, but Boddicker, have you seen this guy fly? He is Marlowe 10 years younger, and everybody used to, and I remember when he got traded to Colorado, was that everybody kind of got on his case for his perimeter play, and his kind of defensive problems. Like, well, but do you see how fast he is? I don't, and his career numbers are what, 51 points? Yeah, he's going to actually be with some decent, with a decent center, in my opinion. He's going to be paired with Don Scoy, and he's going to be paired with Logan Couture on that second Fast and Furious line, as I'm already calling it, or the Noth line, whatever floats your boat. But I think right now that we addressed a need that we needed to do, and if Marlowe decides to, retire after the next season, we've got somebody who can replace that speed. and we finally got some depth in left wing, which is something that we have been harping on with this team. Instead of going out and getting a center who can play wing, we've got a natural winger who's got great power play numbers. So that's a good thing.
All right. Landy, your thoughts on Schlemko and Bodker?
Schlemko, underlying possession numbers are a little bit worse than Polak. However, he does make up for it with his speed, and he's got a little bit more of an offensive touch than Polak does. A little less of a brute, though. So you kind of trade that aggressive, not face masher, but, aggressive and real big checker for somebody who's a little bit more mobile, somebody who can break the puck out of his zone a little bit better, and just overall just a better puck mover than Polak is. So he might be a better solution to pair with Brendan Dillon, because Brendan Dillon with Dylan DeMello was actually serviceable, and when you give Brendan Dillon somebody who can move the puck out of his zone, definitely helps him out. What I'm going to find interesting, though, is Dylan DeMello and where he fits into all of this, because, you have Dylan, you have Schlemko, you have Braun, Vlasic, Burns, and Martin, and, that kind of forms your top six. Now, where does DeMello fit? Does he fight out Schlemko for a spot on the opening night roster? Does he stay the seventh D-man? I don't know. So it was kind of an interesting move, because I thought DeMello had earned the right to fight for that sixth man spot, but he's going to have a little competition, and that's not a bad thing. Going to the Bodker signing, I thought that was a really heady move by Doug Wilson. Bodker kind of flew under the radar a little bit, not getting a lot of press as far as being a highly touted UFA, somebody who's going to be a splash for somebody in the market. But just a really kind of stealth signing, really good. His possession numbers are okay, but we see him as a finisher, right? And so when you've got Logan Couture being your centerman, and you've got Jonas Donskoy, who's a really good playmaker, he kind of fits in on that second line, and I really do like where that line is kind of shaping up to be. He could also be a third liner, so you could play him with Matt Nieto and Chris Tierney, and you could play him in that second line role, or third line role, excuse me, and he could be a pretty good threat that way too. But I think it addressed that speed issue on the wing that the Sharks needed to address. And in my opinion, it was going to be him or Grabner. I really liked Michael Grabner, and I thought the Sharks might make an offer to him, because he's kind of that speedy forward. But I think Mikhail Bodker is just a little bit more skilled, maybe a little less speed than Grabner, but still good signing, good pickup, and DW didn't make really any stupid moves. Nothing that's really hamstrung him for the cap, and got two decent players.
Yeah, they got great players, didn't break the bank, which is always good to see. AJ, what did you think of Schlemko and Bodker?
Who is this general manager, and what has he done with Doug Wilson?
That's what we're trying to figure out. The last two seasons, he's actually been working on July 1st.
Dude, Happy learned how to putt, and Doug learned how to off-season. Uh-oh. I don't get it. I always judge moves like this by what, are they getting better? Are they replacing things that have moved on? Bodker clearly an upgrade over Spalling. Schlemko an upgrade over Polak. Chances are somebody, whether it's Goodrow, Timo Meyer, whoever, takes up Zubrus' spot. They obviously still need to deal with Reimer leaving, and it looks like Aaron Dell might get the first opportunity to take that. I'll be honest, I don't know a whole lot about Bodker and Schlemko. I just, I've looked up a little bit and obviously seen all the tweets. So it looks like a clear upgrade at every position, and they got the speed that they were looking for. How fast, though, do we see? And granted, I know the Sharks aren't going to put this out, but how fast do we see one of those kind of one-off clothing guys. We've seen I'm sure you guys have both seen the Caraway clothing guys who have done like the Burns face on and they were the ones that did the John Scott picture on the
I
shirt.
have a Joner.
Yeah, I have a Jonah, exactly. So how fast do we see a pick like I don't know what number Schlemko will wear here, but how fast do we see what number does Schlemko wear right now? Is there somebody on the Sharks that already wear
He
it?
was wearing number 8 in New Jersey.
Well, he certainly isn't going to get that.
He wore 6 in Arizona and he wore 3 in Calgary, so he could go with 6 or 3.
Okay, so let's say he's wearing 6. How fast do we see a shirt that just has number 4 plus number 6, and it just says The Adventures of Schlemko and Shlomo? That's what I thought about it. Still thinking about this though. You know, 2.3 under the cap right now. I still feel like someone's going to get moved out, whether it's Wingles, whether somehow they figure out a way to get Marlowe out of Dodge, whoever it is. But I'd be really happy if it was Dylan, to be honest with you. I don't want Schlemko tied down with Shlomo.
And the only problem, can I kind of riff off that for a minute?
Go.
Yeah, I think the only problem I see with trading Dylan, and you know, as much as we malign his contract, he is a very, I wouldn't say very, but he is a serviceable 5'6". And as an organization, I just don't know that the Sharks have something to replace that need. In the long term, I think that that's a good play because Dylan's cap hit is not great. But I think that right now this organization is still, you know, for a lack of a better term, just kind of shit out of luck in the defenseman prospect area. And I don't think that there's an immediate filler for that 5'6" position besides DeMello. And you want to bring DeMello up as slowly as possible. And you know, let's face it, Mirko Mueller needs probably another year or so in the minors. So I think for this time this year, I don't think it's the right move. But I could see in the expansion draft Dylan being the one left unprotected, and really that's how you get rid of him. But you know, he is making a lot against the cap, and if he moved him tomorrow, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You just have to replace that player. And as far as trading, I think Wingles has got the big target on his back.
See, it wouldn't surprise me if they if they make Paul Martin available, just based on age and contract.
I was thinking about that, and the one thing that I will say about Paul Martin is his age did show a little bit at the end of the playoffs, but man, he just calmed Brent Burns down, and I think that we shouldn't undersell that fact.
Yeah, but there's got to be pharmaceuticals that can do that at a much better price.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true, and you know, there's going to be some major.
I'm sure Rocket can help him out in that regard.
All right. Well, here's a question I have for you guys. So Bodker is a speedy scoring left winger. Something that we kind of were looking for early on the season until Hertl, moved up there. My question to you is this, and I'll start off with Gentry here. Do you think maybe Bodker might be the top line left winger on this team, and then have Hertl go down to second line center? But after all, let's remember, about a year and a half ago, we were talking about how James Shepherd was traded to be so Hertl can be a third line center.
Well, I go back to I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Gentry, go ahead.
I don't. Here's the thing: is that we've been beating at that drum where, Hertl's going to be a center at some point. Hertl's going to be a center at some point. That's the only thing that Doug Wilson has kind of kept going, taking his word back on. I say leave him at that top line. I mean, use that helicopter line where you have three centers. You have, Hertl, Pavelski, and Thornton up there. I say you leave that line intact because they did work, and they have great chemistry with one another. And then you put him on. Then you put Boddicker on that line with Donskoy and Couture, because I feel like that would just be so good. And then you move Patrick Marleau down to a third line spot, and he could be with, Tierney and Ward, and then you'd get some speed, you'd get some good playmaking, and then you'd get grit on that third line, which would be nice. It'd be nice if we could spread out our wealth, and why not? And I feel like when I saw that signing, my first thought was, oh, he's going to be paired with, Donskoy and Couture, because it needs to happen, because that, you need. I feel like it takes one or two passes and Bodeker's behind defenseman and gone. I've seen some of the highlights of his goals. He is just quick.
He's a
So
speedster.
he needs to be on. He needs to be with people who could feed him the puck at a moment's notice and just go. So put him on that line. Let Couture or not. Let Thornton and Pavelski and Hurdle stay together. That's a solid, top line right there.
And I kind of want to riff on that really quick. 30 goal scorers in this league do not grow on trees. Hurdle is a 30 goal scorer with the Joes. And in his, he had, let's say 2/3 of the season with the Joes and had 21 goals. I would not put it past him to have a 30 goal, maybe 40 goal season with the Joes. I mean, I cannot stress that enough. Goal scoring is at a premium in this league. You do not take down a 20-plus goal scorer off the top line if you think he's going to be even better than he is. And I still think he's a 30 to 35 goal scorer with the Jones. As a center, I see him as a 20 goal scorer. As a winger, it's with Jumbo feeding him the puck, 30-plus.
Well, I mean, let's remember, Thornton made Jonathan Chichu a 54-time goal scorer. So. And at his best, he was a 20-time he was with on the third line with Ricci. So, I mean, you gotta maximize the talent while it's there. So if you've still got the Joes with Hurdle, I mean, there you go. Use that to your advantage. And I remember when we had a third line of what was it? It was Torrey Mitchell, Pavelski, and Kyle Wellwood.
Yep, I remember that line.
That helicopter line, because it was all centers and they were good at what they did. So why not kind of recapture that idea that you can have just all four lines and run them all, and each of them are going to attack you with something different, whether it's speed, whether it's just puck management, whether it's defensive prowess, or just smarts. I mean, keep at it. I love that. I like the fact that with two moves, it kind of seems like Doug Wilson has just like, okay, you know what? I'm making an oath right now that we're going back to the playoffs and we're going to try our best in the Stanley Cup final. So I like these moves, and I thought this was going to be a typical Doug Wilson thing where he's like, okay, well, July 1st is come and gone. I'm still here. So.
I'm wondering about the bridge contract that Hurdle just got, the 2-year deal. I'm worried that they might try to use that time to say, okay, we're going to take these next 2 years to see what we can see with Hurdle being at the center position. They've been beating that drum mercilessly since we got him, despite how much talent and scoring touch he's shown at the wing. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple lines tweeted out here by a few people, and I kind of like one. I'd make just a small little change, but if your second line is Couture, Donskoy, and Bodeker, you could have your third line being Hurdle with Marleau and Ward. You could have your fourth line of Tierney, Nieto, Carlson, and your top line is obviously Thornton and Pavelski. So who do you plug in there? Maybe this is the time that Timo Meier gets a shot, but I would doubt putting a guy in on his first year, just throwing him right on a Thornton's line unless he shows something right off the bat, kind of the way Hurdle did a few years ago. But the funny thing is a lot of these tweets, you don't see Wingel's name anywhere in here. So as Landy was saying earlier, maybe it's just a case of he's just in the PDB doghouse, and it seems pretty obvious that Wilson is running any changes he makes by PDB before he pulls the hammer.
Well, hey, and to add on top of that, Wilson was saying that he didn't like Wingel's game, and he was quote unquote healthy in the playoffs. He did not like his game, and when you got your general manager kind of breathing down your neck and giving you the hints like that, it would not surprise me if he's the one that's getting it. It's $2.8 million. If you can get that off, or sorry, 2.47, get that off the cap, and you now have $4.7 million to play around with. As far as Money Shark, he's asking about Kurz and Twitter today. Kurz had some comments about the salary cap issues with the Sharks and that they're going to be in trouble. And I don't buy it. I think you just get out of this season, and then you got the Adam Burish buyout is done. You got Patrick Marleau and Joe Thornton coming off the books. They'll re-sign for cheaper. They're going to be older. Really, the guys that you're going to have to pay is Carlson, but he's not going to be a big ticket item. You've got Mueller, not going to be a big ticket item. Chris Tierney's going to get a nice little bridge contract, but it won't be a big ticket item. He's RFA. Donskoy is RFA. I mean, really, it's going to be the Brent Burns contract, and that's going to be the big thing going forward. And then after that, you've got to re-up Vlasic. So I see the blue line being where the power and money structure is going to shift in this team. Because right now, if you look at general manager, about 60% of the cap is towards forwards and 34% is towards defensemen. I think you might see it shift where defensemen probably take up half the cap and forwards take up half the cap.
And then also you got to remember in 2 seasons. And also you got to remember in 2 seasons we're going to need to re-sign Martin Jones.
Yes.
Yeah. Jones and Hurdle will be up at the same time. So those will be big.
And by 2020, you'll be needing to re-sign 3 of your defense core. Here's kind of something I put together, and you guys made a good point about Wingles. That's why I took him off here. But this is kind of the lines I was playing around with, and I'm thinking Hurdle, Thornton, Pavelski, Bodker, Couture, Donskoy, Meyer, Marleau, Ward, Nieto, Tierney, Carlson, and then you have your 3 defense pairings. Essentially, Schlemko goes in for Pollock. The roster's pretty much set, barring like 1 or 2 people, and you don't see Goodrow around. You don't see Wingles. Carlson's in there, but who knows if he's not available down the road.
I just riffing off of this. I think that they're going to really try to make Meyer fight for that spot. So I think that spot's going to be kind of an open to Gaudreau, to Timo, maybe Goldobin. Yeah,
Goldobin, yeah,
exactly. So there's going to be 2 or 3 spots that the kids can really fight for and duke it out, and that's a good thing.
By the way, but just to quickly correct Eric, Puck Guy here, you spelled DeMello wrong on your graphic.
Yes, he's not in there yet. We'll see. We shall see. All right, so let's move on here. They, along with Schlemko and Bodker, they did sign. They did officially re-up. The guy who scored the first goal in Barracuda history, Michael Haley.
And dude, you're getting Aaron Dell?
That's right. Hello, it's him. He's in California net minding. Okay, sorry. He went 17, 16, 5, and 1 with 4 shutouts for the Barracuda. Also was the goaltender mainly for them down the stretch for them to make the playoffs and go out in 4 games to the Ontario Reign. Also note that, of course, Hurdle's been signed 2 years, $6 million. Nieto, DeMello, and Carpenter all have qualifying offers on the table. Big question here among these 2. I mean, obviously, Haley's probably going to be the Barracuda, barring, Darnell Nurse comes back to Edmonton. But question is Dell the guy? Are they banking on Aaron Dell going to be the backup to Martin Jones?
God damn, that's an unfortunate photo you used.
I'm just going to put this out there because I think a lot of people are overlooking the score, just not really caring and wanting to see a goalie fight it out. But Troy Grosnick is on the one-way portion of his deal. So if the Sharks do indeed go with Dell, they will have to have Grosnick pass through waivers. Now, that's probably not going to be that big of a deal. And you've got Mantis Armalis,
Wallace.
Armalis, waiting in the wings.
Teal Steel.
Yeah, Teal Steel. Exactly. So, you've got three goalies there, but you got to remember that Grosnick is on the one-way part of his deal, and the Sharks were high on him as of maybe a year and a half ago. So,
and fans were after his first start in the NHL, and then they weren't that hot on him after the next start.
right.
So,
Well,
my question is what happened? Did they lose Nolan Schaefer's phone number?
The other thing that I found interesting though was James Reimer, and James Reimer re-upping with the Panthers and not re-upping that high. I mean, for what he was, I thought he was going to get more money than that. But you know what? He becomes the second fiddle to a aging Luongo, and you figure that's probably going to be more of a timeshare there than you would get in San Jose. So.
Have we seen the end of like the big money deals for goalies? It seems like it all started when when the Sharks had to make that choice between Nabby and Marlowe, and they went with Marlowe. And it just seems that ever since then, like we're not seeing the huge salary that goalies used to get. Whether it was now, granted, not everybody is Patrick Waugh or Marty Brodeur, but I mean, look at what Ryan Miller got at one point. Look at what Bobby Lou got at one point. You are not seeing those contracts anymore.
No, what you're saying is that, like, I remember what was it? It was right after the Kings won the Stanley Cup, and they signed what was it? It was Quick to that 5.9, and now you know what? And that's a decent cap hit. It's not going to break the bank, but it was a extended deal for them, and it was like, you know what? That was a good signing, because it keeps your guy for long term, and then it gives you wiggle room to move him if need be. Yeah, it's not like that horrible Luongo contract, or worse yet, the DiPietro deal.
You know what, guys? I think that right now the deal that screams crazy, Henrik Lundqvist, $8.5 million against the cap till 2020.
See, this is what I'm saying. So
that's an insane cap hit.
How about we just go completely off the board and go Marty Baron?
He was disrespected, and he retired. That's how disrespected he was.
I mean, Pekka has a little bit more of a palatable deal at $7 million for the next 3 years. I mean, he's on the wrong side of 30, but not as bad as the Lundqvist deal. But Lundqvist looks like he's just breaking down. If you look at the other big ticket guys, Marc-Andre Fleury, he's at 5.7, but you know what? He's kind of expendable at this point. And Carey Price, I mean, he's got 2 years left on 6.5, which is a steal for what he is. So, I mean, unless you have an elite generational goalie, I don't think we're seeing the age of more than $5 million a year for a goaltender. I think you pay more than that, and really you got to watch out at the decline and how fast they decline.
And see, here's the thing. I think they were getting more conscious on salary.
We have a breaking news on Burns.
No, I think is that confirmed? I think that might be somebody's wishful thinking.
Really? Okay, hold on.
Double check it. But my question was this: we saw a lot today, and as we transition over to the full league now, we saw a lot of term getting handed out like crazy.
It's the new no move clause.
But speaking of some guy who got a no move clause, let's talk about Milan Lucic disrespecting Vancouver to go to Edmonton because he wants to play with Connor McDavid.
I look, okay, Connor McDavid, yeah, he's fantastic, and it's like, oh my God, what if they sliced the bread before they sold it? Yeah, he's that phenomenal, he's that great. I'm sorry, I don't see a guy like Milan Lucic changing to a team because he wants to play with one specific player that has played in the NHL one season and didn't even play a full season. Yeah, I'm sorry,
Exactly.
That's going to be your tipping point. that you want to play with a kid who played like 40 some odd games. Really, I'm calling BS on that one. I'm thinking there's something else going on there in Edmonton.
You know what? I'm gonna say this: if Milan Lucic thinks he's gonna be playing on a line with Connor McDavid, his nose is sniffing something that's white and powdery and not legal. My thing is that I would see him more as a second line guy with Draisaitl. Like that would be good because they're both heavy guys, and maybe you put like Everly on the right wing. So good for them. But then again, I don't know anything that's going on with Edmonton right now because I'm sure you guys have covered the trade, but good God. Somebody like put it on super easy mode with that trade on NHL 16.
We'll get to that in a minute because I have some thoughts on that one too. But I mean, $6 million for Milan Lucic, who
That's how you know what that was the thing is that I thought he was going to get more money because that's the exact salary that he was getting in Boston, and that's why he left because he wanted a bigger payday, but Boston didn't want to pay him, so they traded him to Los Angeles. He wanted a bigger payday, and you're going to only settle for $6 million so you get a chance to play with Connor McDavid?
But,
okay.
Okay. We looked at Milan Lucic last year with the Kings. You know, we all saw him decline really rapidly in Boston. We saw him go to the West Coast, have a decent bounce back season, but I wouldn't say it was the monster bounce back season that he was planning. So
Certainly wasn't in the playoffs. Right.
So you're paying $6 million for a guy for 7 years who's already started his decline. To me, that's a really bad deal.
That's known as a Chiarelli special.
I did not get that at all. It's so asinine to me that you would give that amount of money to that player for that long. It's that, and the other one that was really befuddling to me was Louis Eriksson going to Vancouver, because these two teams are on opposite ends of the spectrum. The Oilers look like they'll be pretty decent, but you got to drag Milan Lucic slow ass around with hooked up to Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. And that just, to me, that's slowing down your line.
That was my point too. It's kind of like, oh, you want to skate with Connor McDavid? Oh, okay. Good luck keeping up, bro.
I feel like, you know what, Milan Lucic is the fat kid that tries to keep up with all the football players, and you just like everyone else like, come on, man. And he's Milan Lucic in the background.
Sounds like my tryout when I tried out for San Jose State Ice Hockey, and then I made up their logo. The other one that kind of caught my eye was the Vancouver Canucks sign Louis Eriksson to a ridiculous deal.
Stop. Mute him.
I'm gonna let you get away with that shit only because it's off season now. But
and it was Vancouver. Because
that's why I mentioned that.
He brings up the voice when we're not talking about Vancouver, and then it's just it kills the moment. So this particular move to me screams desperation from the Canucks. It means that they're grasping at those final straws that they think that they can get back in the playoffs. And believe me, they're not going to climb over the Sharks. They're not going to climb over the Ducks, and they're not going to climb over the Kings. So you're basically banking on a wild card spot, and you're going to have to duke it out with both the Flames and the Oilers. I don't see it, and I don't know what the hell Francesco Aquilini is smoking and or snorting and or shooting up with, because I don't get it. That's just burning money or pissing money away.
Well, and also you gotta also remember that the injury history that Louis Eriksson has, he's a concussion away from being like the next Chris Pronger. He's got that concussion history. And if he takes one more big shot to the head, it's game over for him. And then you got the Canucks.
I hope it's insured. I hope that deal is insured.
Yeah, and also if that happens, I'm gonna feel really bad for Erickson, but I'm gonna sit there and laugh at the Canucks because this was the type of move that they wanted to make, and guess what? It's gonna bite them in the ass.
Yeah, and
Also,
here's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, and then but it's like, but if it works out well for him, then like, okay, he's gonna be good. He'll be on that either the second line or with the Sedins, and he'll be serviceable. But God, Vancouver is, 4 steps behind when they were like on the cusp of being a cup contender like many years ago. Now they're just grasping at straws.
I think
So,
with the.
and also, I just want to give out the information on the actual cap hit itself. It's 6 years at $6 million, so it's very, very close to the Milan Lucic deal. But he's got a no movement clause in 16-17, so he has to be protected during the expansion draft. Then he has a no trade clause 2018-2019, and then a modified no trade clause for 2020 to 2021 and 21 to 22.
Right.
It's crazy. You're giving a guy who's got injury history that much control over his future, and you're giving him $6 million at 6 years to prove, and he's 30.
Guys, we're talking about a franchise who just got busted for tampering, 50 grand. We love that. We're also talking about a team that is already come out today saying that they are not going to buy out Alexander Burrows. Vancouver,
Wow.
you are the franchise that keeps giving, my friends.
Oh man.
You make me love you more and more every day.
As if like they were gonna land Stamkos. Like,
Well, yeah. Speaking on Stamkos, though, there were 4 teams rumored for him. We have Buffalo, the Wings, Tampa Bay, and
Toronto.
No, or Toronto. Yeah, 5 teams. I guess. We were in that.
Wilson denied that today, but what else is he going to do?
Well, he didn't. I heard that he didn't actually deny it. He just didn't speak on it. So I don't know if he actually came out and denied it. If he really straight up denied it.
Well, he didn't speak on getting Ovechkin either, but it doesn't mean it happened.
But it was reported that by Traeger and by Bobby Mack, Sharkies were hot on the trail for that one too.
Speaking of Buffalo, apparently that's the other place that people are going to because they have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. Kyle Okposo goes.
I'm sorry,
to
could you
Buffalo.
repeat that?
Oh, you didn't hear that quote? Yeah, Kyle Okposo says he wanted to go to Buffalo because they have a good chance at winning the Stanley Cup.
in like 5-6 years.
I would say 2-3 years, but yeah.
That's if Robin Lettner can play a full season.
Yes.
Who the hell's the goalie in there?
Robin Leonard.
Lettner,
Who?
Leonard,
Exactly. Exactly.
The
Leonard and
backup for Craig Anderson a couple seasons ago,
Yep.
but then got usurped by the Hamburglar.
You see, now that would have been a spot I would have seen Reimer go to, but
Here's it. Okay, I just want to touch upon the Reimer thing. It's like that guy could have gotten paid anywhere else. There were teams out there starving for goaltending, and he kind of settles for a backup role for Luongo.
But
I'm still the thing that
I don't
still just bakes my noodle. I totally had Reimer penciled in Calgary. I don't know,
I think
Yeah.
all of us did.
and especially when you look at what they ended up with. What is Elliott getting? What did he get paid?
2 mil. He's
How
getting
much?
paid 2 mil. Yeah, he's getting like 2 point something. But he's got a 1-year deal left on that he signed with the Blues, and it's the last year of the deal for Calgary. But then what are you going to do? It's like if he has a good season, you're going to sign it. You're going to overpay for a goalie. I mean, like it's like Mika Kiprusoff all over again.
Well, they were hot on the trail for Pittsburgh for Marc-Andre Fleury, and basically, the GM, Rutherford, stonewalled Calgary, basically saying we want your 4th overall pick or 5th overall pick for Marc-Andre Fleury, and Calgary was not playing ball with that. So they found the next best player, which was Brian Elliott to them. They thought that Brian Elliott was the next best thing, so they pick up Brian Elliott, and then there's your goaltending market kind of drying up. So it didn't surprise me that Reimer didn't get what he was looking for, because the big chips.
Hey, but let's all remember, Stalock got signed somewhere.
Yes, Alex Stalock will be possibly a backup in Minnesota. He might be.
He's on a
more
two-way
so-
deal, right?
I believe so.
He took a hit, but it's on a two-way deal. It's one
Yeah,
way.
it's very doable for him. Maybe he ends up in Iowa, but nonetheless, kind of backtracking to Reimer, and I mentioned this on Twitter today. Don't you have a feeling that it's either going to be Luongo or Reimer or Niemi going to Las Vegas in the expansion draft next year?
I think Reimer is the one that gets protected and they expose.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Luango's 37, man.
Right.
But I think the guy that you circle now is Fleury for number 1 overall in the expansion draft. I think that he's going to be the guy that they're going to leave unprotected because let's face it, they've hitched their wagon to Matt Murray.
Dude, tell me, you guys, that you aren't like totally excited to see the list of people that get unprotected when this comes around.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
It's like, yeah, we told you we liked you, but we were kidding.
It's kind of like when you're doing your fantasy keepers, and you're like, oh, well, you think I'm going to keep Kuznetsov? Nope. Kochorski.
It's like, oh, do you keep Pacioretty? No, because Alexander Radulov is a Montreal Canadian.
Oh, my God.
And for some reason, this bugs the hell out of me. So PK Subban's personality was such a disaster in the locker room, but heaven forbid, a guy who got team suspended because he got schnockered in Glendale the night before a playoff game. How the hell do you say that to your fans? PK's not good enough, but we'll bring in the guy that played in the KHL who's quit on Nashville twice.
Oh, don't forget Andy Wonderkin. That is Andrew Shaw. Look, when I saw that, I just laughed and laughed and laughed at Edmonton. I just laughed. I thought it was hilarious because.
You mean Montreal?
No, Edmonton.
No,
right? Because they traded Taylor Hall.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, they traded Taylor Hall for Larson. And
did somebody tell the Canadian teams, like, oh, you know what? We all missed the playoffs.
Let's miss it again.
Yeah, let's try that again. That was fun, wasn't it? We got like so much done over the course of April, May, and June.
Because
I don't understand it. It's like the equivalent of like me going up to so one of the general managers is like, I have this flaming bag of dog poo. I want you to give me Lundqvist in his prime.
Dude, it's a vegan pulling up to a McDonald's drive-thru and ordering everything.
Yeah. I mean,
something's not working.
Honestly, like I just like you could not pull off a PK for Taylor Hall like 1-for-1 straight up. You couldn't do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like so dumb. I mean, don't get me wrong. Shea Weber is going to be, he's going to be a good player for Montreal, and but he is declining. So you're basically giving Montreal a declining superstar for an emerging superstar or superstar who's already there. You don't give up on a player like PK Subban, no matter what kind of attitude he has.
I'm going to say this is now he's going to, like, PK is going to have a better defensive partner. He's going to have somebody closer to his age or probably younger. I haven't looked at Yossi's, age yet. But, like, God, just imagine that top pairing of Yossi and Subban.
Dude,
and then
call it right now, dude. Subban wins the Norris next season.
Oh, yeah. Or you know what? Or people could actually see the light and see that Roman Yossi is the one who props up everybody. But you know what? I mean, yeah, that's going to be a super slick defense, and watch out Central Division because you might have a new Central Division.
Yeah, I mean, just think how tough it's going to be in this playoff format. Think how tough it is for the Central to get out of the Central to play in the Western Conference Final.
It would not surprise me if we see the same shit happen again this year, where it's all California and then all Central. I mean, it would not surprise me.
That wouldn't surprise me. I still have this. I think maybe I was a year early, but I still get this feeling that Calgary sneaks in.
Calgary could.
But who are they going to take out? I mean, maybe LA. Is LA now the weakest of the California teams?
Or is it Anaheim?
No,
Or
it's
is it
Anaheim. It's Anaheim.
See, I might say Anaheim just because look at who their coach is now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
no,
why I bring it
yeah.
up.
no, you guys are right. You guys are right.
No, I think so. They were like, oh well, we want somebody who can win Game 7s. Yet last time, what was it? Last time Carlisle was coach, they didn't even make it to the playoffs those years, and he got fired because of that.
Dude, Anaheim and LA seem to have taken such a significant fall this year. I just looked it up. The odds already have the Las Vegas team at a better way of winning the Cup next season than LA and Anaheim.
And they're not even in the league yet.
But unconfirmed reports saying that Paul Bissonnette has reached out to Bill Foley to be the first player to be a Las Vegas Knight. I mean, and if you didn't see if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up on Twitter today, BizNasty 2.0. Apparently, he literally had Shanny's DMs and Malkin DMing and texting other people, and it was priceless.
Now, so let's not stray too far. Who do you guys think had the, I'm going to probably go a little bit off topic with this one, but who do you think had the best day one free agency, or just in terms of just like so far, like everything that they've done kind of was like, okay, this makes sense for them. I think that the best free agency or overall signings was, I got to give it to Tampa. I think Tampa had an amazing. I mean, the fact that you got Stamkos for, that cheap. I mean, it's not like a cheap, but less than what everybody else was offering him. You had Buffalo sitting there going like, "Here's a truck full of cash. We're just gonna drop it on your doorstep." It's like, but they still got their captain, and it still gives them flexibility in the caps to re-sign. Why am I drawing a blank on the names all of a sudden?
Vasilevsky.
Kucherov.
Oh,
Kucherov, they just re-signed, and then they signed the extension for Hedman. They extended Wisnowski and all of them. I'm like, it's like this team is now going to contend for years and years to come. They've still got a good solid core to look forward to. All they need to do is move out that Ryan Callahan deal, and they can.
Yeah.
If the Flames gotten Reimer, I would have really been looking to them. I think right now you could make a pretty big case for the Predators doing pretty well. But for me, just entertainment-wise, just like on the thing that's going to be the most entertaining to me, I think the team that gets this, and I don't even think it's debatable, the Vancouver Canucks. This is going to be the most entertaining thing I've ever seen.
Well, you know who else? You know who else had a slapstick off season or free agent signing? Detroit. So
I think that's because they were all in on Stamkos and nope.
Thomas Vanek, really? And Franz Nielsen's not bad, but hell, he's pretty old. I mean, I think they had a pretty horrible off season to start off.
Dude, Red Wings games are going to be played in their new building, the AARP Center.
Which
I don't. You know what?
Continue the tradition over there. Go ahead, Gentry.
No, I think that the Red Wings are kind of just grasping at straws because, yes, I think they were trying to go all in on Stamkos. But I think Stamkos' game is not Detroit style of play. I feel like it would have been very mismatched. So, I feel like Stamkos stayed loyal and he took a lesser turn because he's in the point of his career where he wants to win a Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. He's already got the numbers to be in the Hall of Fame, but there's nothing like having your name engraved in Lord Stanley to make it all worthwhile. So I feel like the thing that kind of made him stay was the fact that team got as far as it did without him. Now he's probably thinking, what if I was healthy? So,
I actually have to bite my tongue on my previous pick. When I said the Predators, that was before I knew that they've signed Matt Irwin, so forget everything I said.
But it's a two-way deal, so it's all good.
So Slushy, as far as Franz Nielsen is a terrific signing, yeah, but I really think that Thomas Vanek detracts from that signing. Like it's an overall like misfire, I think.
Dude, we're talking about a guy who thinks it's a good idea to wear a towel on your head 24/7.
The signing that to me does not make any sense is Backus to Boston.
Actually, I like that. I mean, I like
because
it
here's the thing: for the same term, you could have gotten somebody who's younger and plays a similar game with Opozo. He could have gone to Boston, and he would have been great on that line with Krejci and Jimmy Vesey eventually when he signs there, because we all know it's going to happen. But that made more of a sense, because that would have been on par with like Yaginla when he went there and he was on that top line. But Opozo's younger and it's got more upside. So I don't know. I mean, like on terms of style of play, yes, Backus is going to be killed.
And that's why I like it. And I think, like I said, the first couple of years of that contract is going to be good. The last 4 years is going to really suck balls for
it's gonna eat him up like the Chara deal is currently killing them right now. If they could find a way to move that cap hit or move Chara in general, they would do it in a heartbeat.
Dude, I can't believe we've been remiss in failing to mention the Coyotes. Jesus Christ, they signed fucking Pavel Datsyuk. That's gonna be huge for them.
Oh yeah,
I want that jersey.
Here's a one question though. There are still some free agents out there that are.
Yeah, headlined by Jason Demers.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, Daddy's asking for way too much. If he's thinking he's getting $5 or $5.5 million, he's smoking something good.
Dude, rub a lamp.
You know what, dude? If you just keep swiping right on that dream, there, Daddy. Come on.
Let's see who else. Matt Carl is now an unrestricted free agent. My question.
Yeah, hold on. You're laughing at that. Would you take Matt Carl over Brendan Dillon?
Yes, I would.
Yes, that's right. In a heartbeat.
I'd give him more money than freaking Brendan Dillon.
And don't we still currently have 18 available?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Here's another thing. Sam Gagne is
I don't want
available.
that. I don't
No.
Luke Shen.
Luke Shen.
Shane Doan.
I was just gonna say Shane Doan. I'm surprised.
I'm gonna say Darcy.
Re-upped.
The most interesting one for me is that with Stalock signing in Minnesota, what does that mean for Darcy Kemper?
That might be the Sharks' backup goaltender.
I say Wingles. There you go to Minnesota. We'll take Darcy Kemper off your hands and sign him because he's a restricted free agent. So,
we also talked about Matt Carl, but you know who else is on the free agent list? James Wisniewski's still out there. Not a bad player, but I mean I don't want him at $5.5 million, but not a bad player. Or Radim Verbata also. He's on the wrong side at 35 though.
Right.
Tomo Rutu.
Can I just take this moment to just beat on the drum that I love to beat on? Is Sharks, please learn how to draft and develop defensemen so we don't have to worry about this crap anymore.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Don't
Lenny.
worry, man. Guess what? It's gonna be Jeremy Waugh, man. He's gonna. Can't wait for that.
You know who might get his rights traded though? Marcus Johansson's still without a contract.
Really?
I think he's holding out in Washington for some money, and I don't know that he's going to be able to fit in with that cap structure they've got going on there. Oh, Slushy chimes in with a great one. The aforementioned waived Brad Stewart.
Don't feed the troll, man.
Yeah, Stewie. Unfortunately, there's a reason why he was traded. Unfortunately, so but it'll be interesting to see what goes on the rest of the way. I mean, yeah, we were all disappointed that we didn't have Stamkos Watch 2016, but they spent what $240 some odd million in the first half hour. All I'm saying is, who's thinking somebody's opening up the CBA in a couple of years?
Well, they broke the record for a single day. $650 million handed out today. I mean that's for a league that's teetering on economic meltdown. It's crazy, and this is why we had a lockout in '05, and this is why we had a partial lockout. What was that? 14? No, 13.
In 13, 12,
Yeah.
13.
How funny is it going to be when Las Vegas is in the league for like 2 years and then bam, lockout?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's what I fear because the general managers have still not learned their lesson. They haven't learned their lesson, and they haven't realized that the cap did not go up much. Probably not going to go up much next year. If not, it retracts.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if
Mhm.
the Canadian dollar is still doing what it's doing now,
It retracts. So let's expand.
Yeah.
exactly.
No, I mean, look at freaking Andrew Ladd. I mean, they essentially replaced Nielsen and Okposo with Ladd. I mean, yeah, you get more veteran presence, but I mean, you couldn't re-sign Okposo to those numbers.
Yeah. No. Well, what was it? It was like 5.5 or 5 million flat that he got.
Five for like 5 years, 5, 6
Five.
years.
Yeah, but I think we're going to see that Okposo needs a strong center. You know, and I wonder what his numbers are going to be like with Eichel. But you know
Or
what?
wait, you see him with Eichel and not like Ryan O'Reilly?
He could be with Ryan O'Reilly, but I see him more a fit with Eichel. But I think it would
Because
be Okposo, Eichel, and the other kid,
Van Kane.
Kane. Thank you.
I honestly think that they'll probably pair him up with Matt Molson because they played together on that top line for a while in for the Islanders. So
Yeah,
I feel like
That's true too.
That's a good thought.
you know,
Quick thing I wanted to touch on from the chat real quick. Yakupov for Mueller. Guys, they couldn't get rid of Yakupov for like a third. So I would not trade Mueller for that.
Mm-mm.
So just to put some cold water on that one.
I don't see that
his
happening.
name, he also sounds too much like a Russian comedian with that name.
Here comes Neil Yakupov.
We don't have enough funny with Schlemko and Shlomo.
Hey, and you know what? We might already have a Russian enigmatic winger, so I don't know that we want to take on two. You know, as much as I love Goldie, he's got some serious issues he's got to sort out in his defensive end. If I know Pavel Datsuk's his favorite player, but he's got to get a lot better in his own end.
Yeah, but I will say this: who's that teal steel dude?
That's Armalis, right?
Armalis.
Our model.
Yeah. You might as well just call him. Well, okay. See, now I know that there's like a there's like a manufacturer of really nice clothes, like not Armalis, but Armani. Yeah, you might as well just refer to him as Armani. And but between that kid and Goldobin, there's going to be a lot of puck bunnies coming into the San Jose arena over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, we got Blue Steel and a Jonas brother, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
something like
that's
that.
what I'm
Well,
saying. Here's a perfect promo for marketing. They could get Jonas and Roth and have Jonas and Jonas. They're the Jonas brothers.
You know what? And they could just like pair him up and just do like a Magic Mike parody, poster and say "Ladies' Night at the Barracuda."
oh, you know what, dude? That would probably work, dude. That would probably work because both those guys, Goldie and Armani, dude, those guys are good-looking guys. Dude, the women are going to be just all over that.
Yeah.
All they have to
And
do is
even
just create
dude, I even heard the Shark store, dude. The day after we signed Armalis. They had people coming in asking if they had jerseys, and and we're looking for the ladies' cut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one kid that though I'm really interested in seeing as far as the Barracuda goes, Danny O'Regan. He's a guy that's been tracking from Boston University, and I really think he's going to be a good pickup and good player for this team. So. He's going to be the one that I'm going to see. I want to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, absolutely.
Or LeBanc.
We should also take a minute to say happy Canada Day, and in our way to wish you a happy Canada Day, we've decided not to include the Canadian in this broadcast.
Yep.
That freaking hoser. No, but seriously, I hope you've had a wonderful Canada Day, Canada. Uh, Apparently, your Canadian teams haven't, unfortunately. But nonetheless, we'll be here to if you want to jump on the teal bandwagon. But speaking of Canada, great segue, AJ.
Who had the best? Who had the best Canadian free agency? I
Winnipeg.
well, Winnipeg, or the other one I was going to throw out there was Toronto, because they didn't offer any stupid deals.
Smart Lamoriello.
Yeah, what was the one that they dealt today? They did Matt Martin?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, he just signed
That was
for
a good
2.5. You know, that's a good second, or not a second line, but third line center.
Good
Or
solid
even
pickup.
Good solid
Definitely.
pickup. I mean, that's gonna be that's gonna be a very interesting team now to watch. It's like as much as we've been beating on Toronto for the past couple years, dealing with with that horrible contract that they gave to Phaneuf and Kessel, but now all of a sudden everyone's saying like, Toronto's back in it. Like, but at the end of it, they still have to contend with the fact they're still paying Phil Kessel's salary for the next 6 years at 1 point something mil per season.
Mike Neves, I've got to tip my cap to you with your Quebec, who had the best free agency, and Quebec had the best free agency.
Yes,
Nice.
yes, they saved so much money there. But getting back to what I was going to mention about Canada, Sportsnet went through a big overhaul with their hockey production. I mean, mind you, when you don't have any of your teams that are in your nation make the playoffs, obviously the ratings will go down and so will the revenue. But most
Not to
notably,
mention the Canadian dollar taking about half of its value. In
right?
taxes
I
and
mean,
all.
they let go of a number of people, including Glenn Healy, who was on the top broadcast team inside of Glass.
I'm gonna
Damian
miss
Cox.
that. I'm gonna miss that Strama Mamamopoulos guy.
I liked
like Strombo too.
Stromopoulos.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. That came out a few days ago, where Strombo was let go. Ron McLean will do the early half of Hockey Night in Canada, replaced later in the evening with David Amber. So that way Ron McLean can still do hometown hockey the next night. But Leah Hexall was also let go, among others.
She's good.
She was good. I really liked her. So a lot of changes at Sportsnet as they trim down. Of course, our favorite Jeff Merrick is still there, and thank goodness. But I couldn't stand Damian Cox a little bit. He was a little too arrogant on my end, and ironically enough, the two that seemed arrogant, Healy and Cox, got let go. So. What did you guys think? I know we don't get to see them that much, but what did you think of the Sportsnet cuts?
Welcome to the Canadian dollar.
Yeah,
that's what I thought too, and I think as far as the Strombo deal goes, I think it's probably because he didn't attract as many people as they thought they were, and so they're kind of readjusting the pendulum back to the traditional kind of broadcast.
Do you think, now this may be just completely talking out of my ass because I just don't follow this enough, but do you think that no Canadian teams making the playoffs had anything to do with this, or might have accelerated something?
it might have accelerated something because I keep thinking. Let's see, Damian Cox, PJ Stock, Glenn Healy, Leah Hextall, George Stroumboulopoulos. I mean, that's 5 big names off the top of my head that they let go, and you just don't do that on a whim. I wouldn't think, and so I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see if NBCSN picks up any of them. They've been more so grabbing talent from TSN, which I think we've seen as hands down one of more hockey centric than anything else.
Can we please replace Milbury with Hextall? I mean, really. I mean, that guy is just a crackpot. Can we just get rid of him? I mean,
Who?
is that possible? Mike Milbury? With
Dude,
Liam?
I'm down to shit can the entire NBC lot.
Yeah. Can we get? Is there a problem? Can we get
Can we just
Uh,
trade with Canada?
Duffy? I want Duffy.
Yes. We have
Like,
a trade to announce.
Yeah, I'd like to announce a trade. The U.S. has traded Doc Emmerich for Jim Hewson.
Oh God, please!
And they've also traded Milbury and Jeremy Roenick for everyone else because
for
God,
Darren Pang and
And
Ray
the
Ferrara.
Yeah, no, exactly. We traded Mike Milbury for the equipment manager for the Moose Factory team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And when I say Moose Factory team, I mean their beer league team that plays on Tuesdays.
You know what? Somebody was saying Melrose and Bucci are awful, but I would freaking rather take them than Doc Emmerich and the lovable duo that is Eddie and Pierre, because God, it was probably the most horribly produced Stanley Cup final I think I've ever seen. They just
well, nothing but the best.
They were getting names wrong here and there. They weren't, we all know about the biases that was the finals, but
Yeah,
it
I
just took it
don't.
to another level,
Yeah, it was weird, man. I didn't know Wingles wore 27.
right?
Oh boy. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything, and with this likely being our final show up until August.
Yeah, up until we come up with another reason to do this.
That's right.
Up
Which-
until the Sharks decide to just like make a blockbuster or make a minor signing,
Patrick Marleau has been traded for Roman Josi.
Yeah, that's going to be it. That's going to be a case of well, we're not going to see you until the beginning of September. Oh wait, Marlowe just got traded. We'll be back in a
We'll be
week.
back in a week.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, remember how we were gonna take a 7-8
So-
week sabbatical? Yeah.
Well, hold on.
So
When's
the
the
next
prospect
fucking-
game? July 12th.
Yes. Open.
All right.
to
See you on
only-
the 13th, guys.
only open to 365 members. Remember that, folks.
Oh, you know what? Why don't you finish up by telling us what happened last night at the tank?
Yes. If you didn't see my Periscope, I went to select a seat night before meeting up with a friend. So basically, what was left for season tickets for Sharks 365, you have to get also a Barracuda season ticket package to go with it.
Wow.
So, Gentry,
Wow, can you say subsidy?
So there was a number of things going with it. So you have to get the Sharks, you have to get the Barracuda. They said they're going to also throw in a lot of special events for fans. Like they're going to do like a bowling night. They're going to do like rent out the whole Sharks Ice for all the season ticket members. They're even talking about having them do a movie night inside the tank and show Miracle on the big screen. You get a bigger discount at the Shark store. You don't get the food and beverage vouchers. That was early on. But the cheapest seats that I saw as I walked around were $176 a month for a 7-month auto pay. And again, the big question, which we won't know until August, is if Shark Packs are coming back next season.
Hold on,
They
let
will
me ask
definitely
you
be
a
very
question.
limited.
Let me ask you a question. This whole bowling thing you're talking about, are Sharks going to be there? You're talking about watching a movie on the on the jumbotron. Are Sharks going to be like there?
They didn't say that. I would venture that they would have to have something.
And
there
of
to invite
all
them.
the hockey movies that you can choose, I mean, I love Miracle, but really, you pick that over Goon,
Oh, well,
Mystery
dude,
in
nobody
Alaska.
cares. Nobody cares. It's
Yeah.
it's a freaking movie. It's the idea though of you really. I'm sorry, but I just don't, because if they're going to do movie night, let's be honest, it's probably not going to be on a Friday or Saturday because they're going to have concerts and things. This is going to be on an off night, like on a Tuesday. I'm
Tuesday
sorry.
starting at 5:00.
Yeah, I don't see fans, maybe you get like a couple hundred people, and it's probably going to be more of those along the lines of, because you have to make all this stuff family friendly. Goon, not the most family friendly movie in the
Yeah,
planet.
unfortunately, you won't see
So
Slapshot. That's for sure.
yeah, so
Damn
that's what
it.
I'm saying is I don't get I'd really I'd really and maybe this is something we can try to make happen, but maybe we can get one of these ticket rep people to come on or something, or let's be honest, probably a former ticket rep to come on and discuss this, because look, I get what you're trying to do, but in some aspects of this, it feels like they're chopping off the nose to spite the face on some of these things, forcing people to buy CUDA ticks. That's that's something that I know when we talked about bringing in the CUDA initially, that I was just of the mindset that I'm not thinking it's going to last real long, 3 to 5 years tops, and then they get moved to Santa Cruz or Sacramento or whatever. That can't be something that fans are necessarily happy with. But is having a bowling night with a bunch of other season ticket holders that you don't know, or watching a movie that you have to drive an hour to go see when you could turn around and throw it in your DVD player, is that something that is going to make you become a season ticket holder, Eric?
Well, see, and that's the thing. For me and Gentry, we live an hour away. I mean, to essentially you have tickets to 78 games. I mean, I already have.
Which doesn't include playoffs, right?
Right, it doesn't include playoffs. I mean, you're paying thousands of dollars for it, and how are you going to get to all the events? Because you would love to be there for everything, but I
I mean,
mean,
you're paying
obviously you
for
can't.
it.
Exactly, you're paying for it, but
Now,
I thought it'd
let
be
me ask you this: if you're a season ticket holder and you have 2 tickets to Miracle on the jumbotron, can you, just like with Sharks games, can you give those tickets to me digitally?
I would think you would be able to.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
I would hope
you know what
so.
the Sharks are kind of doing right now? They're
No.
Googling everything. Whether it's like, oh, hey, you want to sign up for YouTube? Well, you have to get a Google Plus account. Nobody uses Google Plus. Just like nobody should be on AOL.
Yeah. No,
Have a good entry.
no, I totally get that. See, I feel like that's a great analogy, and I actually feel like it also kind of it just reminds me of, like, we all have TV packages, right, gentlemen? And I don't know about you, but I get a little ticked off when I have, I'm paying $100 a month for Direct TV, and I'm subsidizing 57 Spanish language channels that I'll never watch. There's other stuff on there that I'll never watch. Like, let me pay for what I want to consume. A la carte, baby. I don't want to be packaged in
Well, they're
with
doing that now. They're doing that now with not with Center Ice, but with NHL.tv, because that was a lawsuit, class action lawsuit. So, if you want to go that route with NHL.tv, you can. You have the option to do that. But Center Ice, I mean, I don't see
But-
DirecTV unhitching, channels for.
But I mean, you get my point. It's the fact that it's just, you're making me pay for a bunch of crap I'm never going to use. That to me is what fans will end up resenting, and that'll leave a bad taste in your mouth. I know the Sharks are trying to give as much as they can right now with all the little things that they did, and definitely commendable. But I'm not a big fan of the all this extra stuff. It just seems like a bunch of bad icing on a really good cake.
But you know what? I mean, honestly, what sells? Winning sells. This team
That's
got to the Stanley Cup.
Oh, dude, they win like 2 cups in a row, and everybody's going to be like, nobody will watch movies anywhere else but the tank.
Right, exactly. And so, in my opinion, I mean, this run this year bought back a lot of stock, and I'm sure they're going to have an uptake in season ticket holders.
It had a massive uptake in season ticket holders.
Exactly, and I think they won a lot back. So it's going to be, honestly, it's economics, and it's what the market bears. So you know what? This is what happens when you have a good team. So
But with Eric mentioning the uptick,
yeah, that's right.
though, I'd like to know, Puck Guy, when you're saying they have a massive uptick, are we talking from like I just want to know what that comparison is to, is that from 2 years ago when they had so many losses, so now they can, say, oh yeah, we've had this huge uptick, or I would like to see the amount of season ticket holders right now versus what they were 3 years ago before they bottomed,
I would say it's probably from after they lost to LA.
Exactly.
2014. That it's an uptake of that. They said they had to meet the demand, which is why they are requiring Barracuda season tickets, because people were buying the 365 packages to assure that they get a Cup final ticket at a decent price. So I mean that's a huge thing there that they went through. And going around the arena last night, I would say, goodness, I would probably say there was like no more than maybe max 400 seats available for purchase.
Well, see, now here's what I could potentially see happening, and I might be completely off base, but this is what I could see happening: is a lot of people bought season tickets for one season to get those Stanley Cup tickets, and then after next season they're going to relinquish them, and we're going to see a big open house next season. Especially if God, God help us, if the Sharks get knocked out in the first or second round. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a whole bunch of tickets now are available because those people just bought for 1 year just to go to the Stanley Cup. And I think you can also pour on top of that ticket brokers, the guys who bought the season ticket package thinking to get those Stanley Cup tickets just to still try to sell the Stanley Cup ticket for enough to actually pay for all of next season. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's going to be real fun to see what happens a year from now with that. And
I think it's
Hockey Jerk pointing out, after years of treating season ticket holders as regulars, they're now catering to those people. But the problem is that they're alienating the quote unquote regular fans, which I totally agree with. I mean, you definitely have to provide special privilege to the season ticket holders, give them something special. Hell, I think every season ticket holder should get a new jersey every season. I mean, there should be something.
Even if it's just a premier jersey. But yeah. I totally agree. There needs to be special perks, but they also, when they did a wrong to the Shark Pack holders too.
Absolutely.
I 100% agree with that.
To me, the biggest, I have to say that I think the biggest disconnect and the biggest screw up that they made this past season was and I wasn't even aware of this until Puck Guy pointed it out, but the fact that whether season ticket holders or Shark Pack holders or whatever actually had to buy like a secondary ticket to get some of the giveaways. I thought that was completely unacceptable.
That pissed me off because there were times where the 10-pack games would fall under giveaways or like the special nights where it's like, oh, you can get a Ryan Close shirt with this promo. I felt like they should have been like 10-pack, season ticket holders and 10-pack holders, whatever. You're included in that, so don't worry about it. And I'm like, why? Like, why are we treated like garbage? We're giving you money each year, and if they get rid of the 10-packs, I see myself going to far less Sharks games in the future.
Yeah, it's the sad part for that.
I just want to tack on something from the chat. Nate was talking about what about the Ice Girls? Remember that huge issue? Well, the fans voiced their displeasure, and what happened? They had a reimagining of what everybody was going to wear as an ice crew, and what? It wasn't skimpy.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
I still think it's really stupid.
I think it's dumb too. But you know what? I mean, at least it's better than having the Blackhawk cheerleaders or the Dallas Stars cheerleaders. Or
at least the Dallas ones are worth looking at. But and it seems as though Dallas has set the bar as to how big the hair must be for every Ice Girl member because holy cannoli, man!
Right up there
it's always bigger in Texas. Come on, we all know that.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying they have clearly set the bar. Like when I'm sure that those poor Ice Girls when they're in their in the dressing room getting prepared to go out and do their thing, and they're putting themselves together, there must be photos of like Dallas women haircuts up there, because that's some big hair, baby. Let me tell you.
All right. Speaking of Ice Girls, and there's a couple of things we want to put out there before we get out of here. First things first, July 8th through the 12th, the Sharks are having their developmental camp. I believe there is an open practice to the public on the 11th. On the 12th or the 13th, the prospect scrimmage, which is normally at the Shark Tank, will be at Sharks Ice. That is only open to 365 members. They'll be able to contact about that. The reason why it's over at Sharks Ice is because the Olympic gymnastic trials are at the Shark Tank. Also, if you want to be a part of the Sharks Ice team, you need to fill out the form. I think it's sjsharks.com/ice team. They will have tryouts on July 17th and the 19th at Sharks Ice. Requirements: you must be at least 18, physically fit, comfortable in front of large crowds, flexible schedule to work weeknights, weekends, and holidays, passionate about the Sharks, and available to work 75% of the games.
And a
Along with,
flexible body.
yes, yes. I think I should just show up there with like a half a jersey and yoga pants.
No.
I
Good.
think,
Good
Dude,
God, no.
dude, Cam Ward that bitch. Do it.
Cam Ward that. Let's Cam Ward this bitch.
And with that, we should probably Cam Ward this bitch. So until we have some breaking news to announce or the beginning of World Cup, final thoughts, Mr. Landy.
Hey, you know what? DW was not stupid. He did not give away dumb contracts. We only have 2 no movement clauses now on the Sharks, so I'm happy.
Mr. Strong.
Uh-oh, Wilson learned how to trade.
Notch, bro.
I'm excited.
All right. With that, I'm going to say this. It's been a fun year. We're going to be on a break, and like I said, until probably next week when we trade Tommy Wingles or something. But thank you for your viewership
Oh,
and
you mean when we
dedication.
trade Tommy Wingles for Connor McDavid, and who else can we get for Tommy Wingles? Since apparently Adam Larson is where,
We
Adam
can get Mirko
Taylor Hall.
Miller, Tommy Wingles, Matt Nieto for Connor McDavid.
Stamkos. Stamkos.
There's no way
Happening.
he did. There's no way he didn't mean Ekman Larson. But anyway.
Mhm.
Yes. But
And when that show happens, you have to start it off with the clip from Friends that says, "We were on a break."
yes. But for sure, until maybe late August, early September, for everybody, and this includes Chris and Ian and the writers. So this is where Ian would say, "Fuck those guys." I am Eric Cura. Make sure you hit pucknology.net and make sure you subscribe down below. And enjoy the summer. You can follow us on Twitter. We'll be there all summer long. Don't worry. Keep it real. Keep it fresh. Keep it real fresh. We'll see you in the fall.